This podcast is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 at the affiliate link down below for 5% off to help support the show.
Welcome to the Play to Win podcast, where we talk about winning in cEDH. I'm Cam.
And I'm Dylan. This week, we're talking about whatever the hell we want.
Oh, is this the adult show?
It's the adult show for the holidays because it's Christmas time, right around Christmas time-ish.
It's in between Christmas and New Year's right now.
It's going to be a quick podcast. We don't get off days anymore, so we want this one to be quick so it takes less time for Cam to edit it.
I have a short window this time, and I just don't want to give... it's coming out on time.
Yeah, everything's going to come out on time. It's just going to be a little bit shorter.
Exactly. It's going to be great.
We have a couple questions. We have a couple thoughts on Magic we're going to go over.
Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff that we're going to do. But in the spirit of the holidays, we really should have done this last week. But normally, one of the perks that we offer patrons of our highest tier is that you get to pick like a merch item and we'll send it to you. That's one of the perks you can pick. This time, Nick Foles Go to 9 actually asked that we give away his perk to someone else. So we're actually going to give away one of the black and white casino mats here.
It's on the screen right now.
It's super cool because you can like color it in if you want, but I actually love the look of just the black and white here. It's designed by Gold Sabertooth, and what I thought we would do, Dylan, is we would give it to one of our Blue Sky followers.
Yes, we have recently created a Blue Sky account where we're going to be posting a lot of our content. Not a lot of it. All of our content is going to be over there. So if you'd like to win this playmat donated by our patron, Nick Foles Go to 9, follow us on Blue Sky, and we'll do a giveaway before the end of the year.
We'll announce the winner of the giveaway on like the 31st or something.
That's what it is.
That sounds good. And we're only announcing the winner on Blue Sky. And if someone says that you won and says you have to pay for shipping, they're scamming you.
Yeah.
So don't give them your information.
Don't give them information.
Okay.
Well, it'll be free for you.
It'll be free. It's every part of it is free for whoever we're giving it away to.
Everyone on the planet?
I can't afford to give everyone on the planet playmat.
We can ship anywhere on the planet. It's like crazy expensive to ship other places, but fuck it.
We'll ship anywhere on the planet. Yeah.
Okay. I like calling it the planet.
I like that.
Makes it feel bigger.
Well, that is what it is.
Well, you can call it the world, but that feels so small. The planet.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
Right?
But there's multiple planets.
That's true. But when you say planet, you think, oh, planets, they're so big.
All right, well, next question. So Jupiter's not a world. Or do you call Jupiter a world?
No, well, Jupiter might be Jupiter's not the world, that's for sure. I don't know about a world.
We also say phrases like our world, which implies that
there are
someone else has their own world.
But it can only be a world if someone else has it. No one else has Jupiter as a world.
Okay, so a world has to have an inhabitant.
It has to have a living inhabitant, yes.
That makes sense. Okay, so we haven't come across any other worlds quite yet.
Not yet. Soon, though. Those drones in New Jersey, maybe. You
know what? That's true.
No, definitely not.
I don't know too much about what's going on with
Actually, I don't want to go too far down that.
Everything back.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about Magic.
We're not going to talk about anything. Yeah. We're going to talk about things that we like.
Yeah.
So actually, we have another patron that we have to bring up here because Demon of Rosgrees has a question for us. Outside of the channel, what is and are the things that keep you playing Magic? And inversely, has there ever been a time where you almost quit playing Magic?
Interesting. You go first or I go first?
I'll go first because I knew of this question before.
You've been working on something.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we're going to start with the first part, and then I'll re-ask you the second part, because I think that's the easiest way to follow this. So outside of the channel, what is and are the things that keep you playing Magic? For me, it's things that aren't Magic that make me keep playing Magic. Like, it's what's kind of helping me keep, like, a healthy work-life balance. Magic is not just my job, it's also my hobby, but I also want to make sure that I have other hobbies outside of Magic so that, like, I can give my brain time to think about other things.
Yeah.
And that slot changes quite a bit. Like, for a while it was Pokemon VGC, and now I have no interest in playing Pokemon anymore.
Now you're all on Fire Emblem.
I'm super into Fire Emblem right now.
I feel like every time I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, I'm playing Fire Emblem.
Playing Fire Emblem, yeah. Well, my buddy showed me one of the emulators that you can get on your iPhone, and now I have like 11 Fire Emblems on my iPhone, a couple of other Pokemon games, because like there's like Pokemon hacks that people do, which are pretty cool.
It's a fighting game?
No, so it's a turn-based strategy game that is kind of like, I guess I would say, without knowing anything about Go, it's like chess and Go put together.
When you say Go,
like the game Go,
not Pokemon Go.
It's nothing like Pokemon Go.
Nothing like Pokemon Go.
Nothing like Pokemon Go outside of you having units.
Okay. Turn-based?
It's turn-based.
Turn-based?
Yeah, and it's on a big square map, and there's your units can have weapons like swords, axes, and lances, or they can be magic units. Some of them are on horses or riding dragons or pegasi.
Are we pre-gun in this world?
Yeah, they're pre-gun. So it's all like medieval.
Fantasy medieval stuff.
And you get to move units and like attack enemies, and your goal is just basically either take out all the enemies on a map, or certain maps will say you have to seize the throne, which means just get your main character to a certain point.
You got one character and then an army around your character?
You have one lord and an army around your lord. You control your entire army. Your entire army is like your chessboard.
Okay, but you don't have like one person that does stuff? Like, does your lord do something on his own? Is he a character, or is he just like representative by...
Your lord, they're all their own characters. So there's 17 Fire Emblems, and the era that I like is the nostalgic era for me, which was the Game Boy Advanced era. Fire Emblem 1, original Fire Emblem, came out for the Famicom.
Interesting, the Famicom.
Which is, I have no idea what this thing is, but if we talk to Cal from over at Herald's Horn, I'm sure he would know all about the Famicom and all about this.
Okay, interesting.
So they originated from the Famicom, and it's a Nintendo property now.
Now, it wasn't always. It was bought by Nintendo.
Well, I guess if I knew who produced the Famicom, which I imagine is Nintendo, I know that the developers of the game was like Intelligent System, at least for the Game Boy Advanced era. At least most of the era that I've played in that's who developed the game, but it's under the Nintendo umbrella still.
Okay.
And they were only released in Japan up until Fire Emblem 7.
Okay.
And what actually got people interested in Fire Emblem was adding Marth and Roy, two characters to Super Smash Bros.
Super Smash Bros. I know Marth is good in Super Smash Bros.
Marth
right?
is great in Super Smash Bros. Yeah, he was the original Fire Emblem Lord, and the Lord's the main character of the game. Yeah.
Okay.
Roy was the Lord of Fire Emblem 6.
Why did I think that's not related to like Zelda and shit? Those characters look like Zelda characters in Smash Bros.
Because they have like the same kind of anime character design with the sword. I understand where you're coming from.
But they're not related
that.
Whatsoever.
They're from two totally separate games with separate gameplay mechanics entirely. Yeah.
Why this game versus other games that are like
because it's a turn-based strategy game.
Strategy.
Yeah,
and it's just like one of the best turn-based strategy games.
In my opinion, yeah. It has like some RPG elements too, because like all
role-player game.
Yes, role-playing game elements where like every one of your units has a strength stat, they have a defense stat, a resistance stat. Resistance is your magic defense. You have skill, which affects like the chance that you'll hit players or your opponents, the enemies. You have a luck stat, which in the GBA games just says this affects a lot of different things. And then there's a speed stat, which affects if you can attack twice during combat, or if your opponents are faster than you, maybe they'll attack you twice during combat.
Okay, so this is the game that you use, and the main thing that you use to outside of Magic to keep yourself kind of
right now. That's what it was.
Magic.
Yeah, earlier in the year it was Baldur's Gate 3. I was playing a lot of Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate hysterically actually scratched my Fire Emblem itch quite a bit, because it's the same thing. You're using RPG elements to like do turn-based combat in most of the game. Baldur's Gate just has you walking through an open world more than the Fire Emblem games are going to have you do.
Do you still walk through a world with Fire Emblem?
Most Fire Emblems, no. You just go from level to level to level. And honestly, to me, I don't care about the story. I don't care about the background of the characters and who they are. I care about their stats, what they do, and how they get me through. It's very much my same relationship with Magic. Yeah. I don't care about the story. I just care about what the cards do and what they do in my deck. It's the same way.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. If you have a Switch, there's Fire Emblem games that have still come out.
Yeah.
So if you ever got into Fire Emblem, I think you could really like it.
Yeah, I probably would. I don't know. I've said this before. I just don't like video games.
That's fair. And right now they've gotten way more into like the anime kind of like dating sim kind of thing, which like is a direction that I'm not into, because again, like I'm not into the characters, I'm not into the story. I just want to play the levels and like do the gameplay things instead of like trying to create new units from my two characters hooking up, and then their son from the future comes and I get to play as their son who came from the future.
Who cares?
We're getting way too weird. Just like give me one storyline, one which I don't even care about, but just it got way worse after the Game Boy Advance games, which is why I like to emulate the Game Boy Advance games. Do that. So that's me. I have a rotating cast of games that I play outside of Magic.
You think this helps you come back fresh to Magic?
Yeah, just make sure that like it's never getting boring. Like every time I come back from playing another game. It's not like I'm taking like a break from Magic. I do something Magic related every day still. It just makes sure that Magic remains special, since it's not the only thing that I'm consumed by.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really have much like that. I've been playing a little bit of chess recently, just online. That's been super fun. I'm not very good. That's super fun. I like that a lot, and I think that maybe it's in the same way as Fire Emblem, is that there's no variance. Is there variance in Fire Emblem? I guess there kind of is, right?
Hit rates and stuff that does add some variance.
With chess, there's no variance, really. The only variance is how big our brains are. So every time I lose, it's like directly my fault. I missed a line. There was a mistake that I made, which I really like that in a game, because Magic is super fun, and it having variance is like a great aspect to the game. But it's hard to pick up on things as quickly, I feel like, in Magic, because the variance makes it kind of tricky. Whereas chess, especially on chess.com, they can like tell you where you mess up. So it's like very clear to like figure out how to fix it for next time.
That's super helpful.
It's been a lot of fun, but I don't do that a ton. Honestly, the main thing that I do to stay interested in Magic is play other formats of Magic. So like the main thing I would do to stay interested in cEDH is like make sure that I'm like paying attention to Modern and Legacy and Vintage and watching gameplay and seeing how tournaments are going in those formats, to like take a break from cEDH, and then I kind of just come back to cEDH, because for me, nothing is as good as Magic.
I feel that, yeah, because I know Fire Emblem is not as good as Magic, and I know like any game I have on my PlayStation is not as good as Magic, so I definitely feel that. And I have been wanting to get more into Modern specifically, now that like the bans and unbans have really shaken stuff up.
Yeah.
My brother, who has not played like Magic consistently in almost 10 years now, is thinking about putting like Splinter Twin together again, so I feel like this is a great time to be looking at 60 card formats.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of cards recently just got unbanned. Faithless Looting, Mox Opal, Green Sun Zenith. What was the other one?
Splinter Twin.
Splinter Twin, duh. Yeah, those 4 cards just got unbanned. The One Ring got banned.
Gigantha got banned.
Amped Raptor got banned.
Amped Raptor.
Yeah, the format seems wide open right now, and although I don't play Modern a ton, I would definitely love to play Modern a lot more. I really only play like at locals once a week right now, because I just don't do the Magic Online thing because the video game thing, but I think I might, I don't know, every day I feel closer and closer to just saying like, what if I get one of those rent bot accounts so I could just play Magic Online and get my Modern fix? I don't know. Faithless Looting is one of my favorite cards ever, so to have it come unbanned, I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, me too. We should talk more about Modern and the other formats a little bit more.
Let's finish the question.
Let's finish
one thing at a time.
All right. So inversely, has there ever been a time where you almost quit playing Magic?
I did quit once. For me, I'll go first just because I did, and I don't think you did. The second time we came to Innistrad, I briefly stopped playing for a little while.
Oh, this was Shadows over Innistrad.
Shadows over Innistrad. Not for really the reason of Shadow sucking, but looking back, it kind of did stink, and maybe that's why. But I think I was just getting into other things. I was playing, I think, Pokemon Go around the time, and I was doing more Pokemon Go stuff.
Oh, okay. So this would have been like the 2016 era then.
Yeah, exactly. And then once Bloodbraid Elf got unbanned in Modern, I came back to Magic because I wanted to play Bloodbraid Elf again, which ended up being not very good, if I remember correctly.
Stinkers is what it ended up being.
Ended up being not good, but it still got me back into Magic, and then back into playing Commander and other stuff like that. And I met Tyler shortly after and went from there. So I did have a little bit of a break, but what brought me back was the unbans, which is kind of funny that we're talking about the unbans again, because it's bringing your brother back, maybe.
Yeah, really. And the time that you fell out of Magic was definitely a low point in Magic's history too, because the big part of that Innistrad block was no one wanted Eldrazi to still be around, and that was definitely a big thing that they were still focusing on. So
I just thought it was funny because like I didn't like purposefully in my head think Magic is stinky, I'm leaving it. It was just like so boring to me, I kind of just forgot it and I was doing other stuff, which is like I think how a lot of people probably fall out of Magic. It's not this big stance, they just like lose interest in it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So how long of a break was that you took?
Couldn't have been long. I'm sure we could do the math from when Shadows over Innistrad got released and when Bloodbraid Elf got unbanned in Modern. That I know that time period, but I don't know the years. However, I don't think it was long. Maybe 2 or 3. It felt like forever.
So Shadows over Innistrad came out in April 2016.
Okay.
Which makes sense because Pokemon Go released July 2016.
Is that true?
That's true. Yeah, that I remember very clearly. I went to visit some buddies in New York, actually, the weekend that it came out, and we were like in Central Park, and it crashed every 5 minutes. And then, what was it? Bloodbraid Elf
unban, yeah.
2018,
yeah, so about 2 years I was out.
February 2018, so it was about 2 years then.
Which is kind of so funny that like I did leave Magic and now it came back to Magic and now it's my job, which is so fucking crazy.
I feel like most people that play Magic for 10 plus years end up having a break at some point.
Yeah, you never took a break though.
I never took a break. I mean, there were times where like I had trouble finding people to play with consistently, but I never considered that I was taking a break because still every day I was doing something Magic related. related. Whether I was looking at MTG Goldfish, at deck lists, or I was thinking about what I wanted to play in Modern or something, like watching a video on YouTube, like there was always something I was doing. I mean, I've always never played enough Magic.
Yeah.
Always, and there's just times that I've played more Magic than other times, but since I've started, I've never felt like I've taken a break and actually stepped back from Magic.
You mentioned looking at MTG Goldfish every day. I've been doing that every day this week since the unbans rather, I guess, trying to see what's going to be good. A couple main decks I'm looking at right now. I'm going to lay them out
because I've been looking at some stuff too.
A couple main decks. Hollow One was a deck that I loved a lot, and I played a lot when it was originally out. Hollow One seems really good right now, so I'm trying that one again. There's a couple different versions. There's like the Delirium version that plays Fatal Push and Lightning Bolt and Orcish Bowmaster and kind of good cards surrounded by a Hollow One package.
Are they on FOMO too? Fear of missing out.
I've seen a couple lists play 1 to 3 FOMO. Sometimes I don't know if I've seen anyone play 4. To me, that card feels very clunky and slow, but I do understand it has like late game push. It can really, especially with the Flamewake Phoenix, which is the new one. I think it's Flamewake Phoenix. That you can bestow onto a creature and get rid of your Street Wraith or a Hollow One that's in the graveyard to pay for the collect evidence cost. So it's pretty easy. If you give haste to a new Hollow One and then have it attack twice with Fear of Missing Out, that's 12 damage just from there. That's pretty good. So there's that one deck that seems really good. The deck that I played last night at Locals and did not do very well at is like a more mono-red Vengevine Hollow One deck that's playing Asmarana Dekoldakar. Damn, I have it written down somewhere.
Oh, we were just talking with Insomnia about what this was.
I know. If I have it written down, if you split it up in 4 sections, it's easier.
Asmarana, Mardika, Diced-in a Coldakar.
Diced-in a Coldakar. Yes, that's it.
I know that's the back. By the way, I just want to clear this up. It's Detectives Phoenix that has the bestow.
Detectives Phoenix.
The other one that you said,
that's the original one.
That's the
one.
Not
the original. The one that I played in Hollow One.
Yeah, from Fate Reforged with Ferocious.
That has the Ferocious.
This sucks.
What?
It doesn't have Ferocious in its Foundations reprinting. I understand why, because they don't want to confuse it, and they can only add a certain new number of mechanics, but it sucks that it does not actually have Ferocious anymore.
I didn't even realize that it was reprinted in Foundations.
Neither did I.
Yeah, that's interesting.
All right. Well, now that I'm angry, I'm sorry. Please.
All right.
Continue.
So there's the one Hollow One, like more Delirium focused deck. That's like more of a mid-range Rakdos deck. That deck is probably the better deck and is really, really good. I'm looking at that one. The other one is more the Vengevine Hollow One, way more faster stuff. I'm looking at that one too. I just made some swaps to my list, putting in DRC and Mishra's Bauble.
Nice. Yes.
Mishra's Bauble can get back the Daredevil, which is pretty good. That works really well with the Underworld Cookbook. I'm saying a lot of words that our cEDH audience doesn't know.
You're way into the Asmo side of things, then, because if you're doing is it Dire Street Daredevil?
Dire Street Daredevil.
Whenever an artifact enters, lets you return it from the graveyard to your hand. Like that's just what you discard with the
Underworld Cookbook.
Yeah, so that you can make infinite food, right?
Just over time, it just basically taps for a food for free for no other cost. Normally, you have to discard. But now when you discard, it just goes right back to your hand.
That's what it is. It's modern, so it's not infinite. No. You make food equal to the number of cookbooks that you have.
Basically, yeah. And then with the Asmo, it's nice you can sacrifice the foods to have something deal 6 damage to itself, so you can use it as your removal while also being very graveyard-centric. So there's that version. And then the other deck that I think is realistically probably going to be the better deck that I will land on eventually is the Creativity deck with Indomitable Creativity, and now Faithless Looting can help you ditch your Archon of Cruelty, which Persist can reanimate.
Oh, yeah, dude.
So you have like a 3-mana way to get Archon of Cruelty in play, which is really nice.
That is super nice.
And that deck, one of its issues, I thought, and I think a lot of other people thought, is that when you draw the Archon, what the fuck do you do with it? Because you really only have like the Bitter Reunion to discard it.
Or a second chapter of a Kiki Jiki saga.
Exactly. And then at the time, they were only playing like a 1 Persist because they weren't heavy on those because your discards at this time were really bad. But now the deck, I think, can play 4 Persist for Faithless Looting. For creativity. So now you have multiple ways to get Archon of Cruelty in play pretty quickly. Bunch of disruption. You don't have to spend a lot of slots. The issue with the Hollow One deck is like your whole deck is like devoted to doing your thing. Whereas the Archon line, it's only a couple cards. So you have a bunch of free slots to play removal, interaction, Thoughtseize, stuff like that.
You get to be a little bit more controlling, a little bit more mid-rangey, because it is a little bit more of a late game push that you're pushing for. Yeah.
Whereas the Hollow One deck kind of feels like it's really just like an aggro deck. It's just a very fast aggro deck, which is cool. I love doing decks like that. But I'm interested in all those. That's the Faithless Looting stuff. That's what I'm really interested in right now. There's going to be a ton of other stuff in Modern with Faithless Looted that it's going to be good that I'll maybe line up with. But
we're getting
now,
we're
that's
going to
what
be
I'm looking
getting
at.
Phoenix decks back. The Arclight
Yes.
Phoenix decks are going to be coming back. I've been looking at Goryo's Vengeance because I spent so much money on Atraxas and Goryo's Vengeances for a deck that I never played in Modern, that now that I have Faithless Looting, like I want to do something with them. So
I do that a lot with Modern decks. Well, I'll buy 45, 75% of the deck and then never play it.
I'll play a tier 2 version of this deck if I have to. I want to use these cards.
I mean, if Faithless Looting persists for Archon is good, you got to assume Faithless Looting, Goryo's Vengeance for Atraxa is also going to be in the ballpark of good.
in the same thing. Yeah, I still get to play Gristlebrand too.
I wonder Psychic Frog is just a nuts card that also just got banned in Legacy. Way too powerful for Legacy. Weirdly not too powerful for Modern. But I do think it helps really bridge the gap between a lot of these unfair reanimation style strategies and this tempo strategy, which was like that best deck in Legacy, that blue-black reanimator deck that just played one Atraxa, one Archon, and you could just Entomb reanimate it or rely on the Frog. I think that's going to be a strategy really good in Modern, too.
Yeah, I think so, too. Right now, I'm leaning more Mardu right now, but I could see myself switching from Mardu and just, like, cutting the white and moving towards Grixis
you
instead.
Have Solitude, Ephemerate type stuff to do with Atraxa.
It's the Ephemerate and Atraxa that makes me want to lean in towards white, too, right now. Plus, you get to play Flage in the deck as well.
Flage is really good.
Like, Goryo's Vengeance to Flage isn't the worst thing.
Sure.
It's just a Lightning Helix, but, like, at least
But
you
two
could
Lightning
do
Helixes
that.
because it gains haste, so you can enter Lightning Helix, attack Lightning
The
Helix.
problem is, though, when it enters, you didn't escape it.
Oh, so you
you're
don't
gonna
get
have to sacrifice it immediately,
Oh,
and then
okay,
it'll get
right,
exiled.
right,
So,
yeah.
like, it's not good, but if you need an instant speed Lightning Helix to not lose the game, like, that's an option that you have.
A little flexible. That makes sense. That's really cool.
And it's just a good card, too. Yeah.
I heard you were also talking to me about the blue-black decks.
I was talking to, because I wanted to go on the blue-black side of things originally at first because of Psychic Frog. And I could see myself moving this strategy even into more of a Grixis shell so that you can play Psychic Frog and still look to reanimate Atraxa in some kind of a way.
Yeah, and Oculus. You get to play Oculus, maybe?
Oh, the Oculus.
The eyeball.
Yeah. Dude, that's another $100 I have to shell out for 4 Oculuses though too, and I'm already like 400 in the hole on these cards I haven't played yet.
Yeah,
so
that is
I'm
kind
gonna
of the
start
issue.
with this version first, and
That's
then
fair.
move past it. But the Oculus I have, I really want to play like Murktide seems really good too. Just in general.
Yeah, definitely. I also think with the bans, with Faithless Looting and with Mox Opal specifically, for cEDH players who are still listening, Underworld Breach is a card that I think is going to get way, way, way better in Modern right now, because getting it access to more free mana and more ways to put stuff into the graveyard for free, like not for free, but for cheap, how could that not be good? That seems so good. Like with Emery in the format too, you have Mox Amber, so you have like up to 8 sources of free mana that you can use. Emery can mill the Underworld Breach. Like it feels like there's a lot of pieces there for that deck. The only thing that I'm thinking, and now this is another caveat, we're not Modern players. I mean, we play Modern a lot, but like that's not our specialty. Everyone's going to be using the graveyard, so I think the deck that doesn't need the graveyard is going to be the deck that can come on top, if that makes sense. Because everyone's sideboard is going to have Leyline of the Voids and Tormod's Crypts and Surgical Extractions and whatever else you could possibly imagine to fuck with the graveyard. The Underworld Breach deck and maybe Dredge, which also seems really good. Maybe those decks get hated out too much because too much sideboard.
What probably ends up coming on top, I don't know how good Splinter Twin's going to end up being. I've heard a lot of things where like it might not end up being that good.
I know, out of the first bunch, you had like a 0% win rate or something out of the first 3 decks.
And maybe that's just because like everyone knows what to expect. I've seen energy decks now, Boros energy decks that are also winning with Splinter Twin and Village Bellringer in them, which is just like, I thought that deck was supposed to be out of the format now. What
that's
the fuck?
funny.
Yeah, so like now that's something you could just like Splinter Twin, like it's a little bit unknown, but like the decks that I think are going to come out on top, I think Tron comes out on top of this because they were a Mox Opal deck from before, and anything that makes Tron better makes my life worse.
Yeah.
So I'm a little sad about that. I'm really excited to see if the Bloom Titan decks. That's not that I was just talking to my brother about this today. That's not what they're called anymore, but I can't not call them Bloom Titan. The Bloom Titan decks, if they're going to end up picking up Green Sun Zenith as extra copies of not just the Titan, but also like any of the other green creatures that they're playing
the
now
one that
are a
gives
little
you
bit better.
an extra land drop that has
a Boreal Grazer.
A Boreal Grazer is okay.
Yeah.
They're probably going to play a Dryad Arbor now.
I don't know why those decks aren't playing Azusa Lost but Seeking anymore.
Are they not?
One of the decks that that I looked at was not on Azusa. But Bloom Titan and Splinter Twin in particular, though.
Amulet Titan is what the deck is called now.
Amulet Titan now, yeah, because Summer Bloom's been banned,
for years.
But, like, those are two decks that my brother was super into before bannings happened.
Honestly, the unbanning of Green Sun Zenith kind of gives that deck like sort of, I don't know, it gives it a lot of reach. Being able to find sideboard pieces, sideboard cards, post-board, like Reclamation Sage or something like that is huge. Being able to just be flexible and find a Primeval Titan when you want to, but also just be turn one ramp if you needed to, I think that's going to be huge.
Yeah, those decks, again, they're playing like a lot more middle-of-the-road green creatures too nowadays that you can just easily Green Suns for. So like that way, it's got a good spot at like pretty much everywhere in the curve of those decks, and the only creatures in those decks are green. So I think Green Sun is going to find some homes, and I think that's going to be where it's going to shine best.
Definitely. Yeah. It's super exciting to see right now. Modern feels really wide open, and I'm checking MTG Goldfish every single day to see what decks have 5-0'd leagues and challenges and stuff. It feels really fun, and I love paying attention to something that's not cEDH to kind of help me like gain a new insight to cEDH sometimes, because you often like pick up things when you go back to other formats of like things that can be helpful in cEDH when you bring back, which I really like a lot.
Yeah, it's made me think a little bit more about Faithless Looting even in cEDH a little bit more too, because something I always forget is that it has flashback.
So
like it's way better in Modern, where like, especially if you're looking for reanimation spells or reanimation targets, like you get to see so much of your deck. But I feel like in both formats though, Orcish Bowmaster is around, and like certain decks that can get away with playing it a little bit better than others.
Yeah, Faithless Looting I think in cEDH has the same issue that all cantrips have, which is that they're not as good in our format because there's 3 opponents. Because oftentimes when you're playing a Faithless Looting, you're probably going to be giving somebody else a card with an Esper Sentinel or a Rhystic Study.
Oh, and it's already card disadvantage for yourself on its
like,
face.
Yeah, so like, and normally otherwise, if you are playing a spell in cEDH, it's so good that you can sometimes be willing to give your opponent a card in order to cast the spell, and that's worth it. With a cantrip that's not as good, instead we have things like Rhystic Study, Mystic Remora, all these card advantage engines. That's our cantrips. That's what we have to use. So I understand the want to play Faithless Looting because it's such a cool card, but yeah, I don't love it.
I don't think it ends up having so much of a home.
Yeah, Mox Opal and Green Sun Zenith, these are cEDH cards though.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you're cEDH players that have these cards, they just spiked. So if you have extra ones, feel free to get rid of them now.
Put them out there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I know. I found 2 extra Green Sun Zeniths, and I'm like, do I do something with them in Modern now because I have 3, or do I just ship them off and say, I'm going to use them to help me get another dual land?
You know, it's another deck that might use Green Sun Zenith Yawgmoth, the green-black Yawgmoth deck.
Why wouldn't Yawgmoth use Green Sun Zenith?
It absolutely would.
I feel like Hapatra, the
Young Wolf.
Undying creatures. Yeah, like there's so many things that...
Grist? You can get Grist?
Dude, you can get Grist.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that's a huge one. That deck is really sweet, and I think probably suffered a little bit at the hands of Orcish Bowmaster, being that what you want to do is like something to draw a lot of cards and your creatures are 1 toughness.
I feel like we're going to see a spike in Urza Saga being able to find Grafdigger's Cage
and
in
Mox Opal
Modern right now. And Mox
now.
Opal too. Man, maybe I'll even revisit Jund Sagas even too.
I think you should.
Yeah, because that seems like this could be in a really good spot. Like every one of the Faithless Looting decks has a reason for you to want Grafdigger's Cage to fight against them, and I feel like that also hits Green Sun Zenith really nicely. Wow, yeah, okay, I'm going to think about that really hard.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, when I was at Locals the other night, there was, I think, around 16 of us, and I want to say 13 of us were playing Faithless Looting. I know at least every single one, except for 2 people, were playing red cards. I think maybe someone was on Splinter Twin and not Faithless Looting.
That makes sense. You wouldn't really want Faithless Looting in Splinter Twin. You need, like, the blue cantrips for card selection and advantage.
But everyone else was on Faithless Looting, either Creativity or some type of Hollow One deck or some type of Reanimation deck or something. And then there was a couple of Mox Opal Affinity players too, which that deck is also going to be really good in Modern.
I definitely made sure that I sleeved up my 4 Leyline of the Voids for my Modern sideboard.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I'm definitely looking at like wear tears and other stuff like that too, like things that are going to get rid of artifacts specifically, because like you said, I think I am going to be pretty scared of these hardened scaled decks.
Oh yeah, Affinity, hardened scales, that type of stuff. I put in Pick Your Poison and back into the sideboard of this deck just because, one, like you said, Leyline of the Void is going to be a great way to stop the decks that I want to be playing.
Oh yeah,
and that one Pick Your Poison helps get rid of that one. And then also Tormod's Crypt is one that I haven't thought about in a long time, but that one in specifically a deck with Dragon's Rage Channeler because it can cheaply trigger it. The Daredevil, it can bring the Daredevil back, so it kind of works with all of those strategies, but also being able to exile the graveyard. There's a ton of graveyard
That's
stuff.
really cool. Yeah, I really like that.
One more card I want to talk about with Faithless Looting is Tameo. That's a card that cEDH players have been a little interested in.
The new Tameo Inquisitive Student.
If you draw for turn and then cast Faithless Looting, that is a very cheap way to draw your third card and flip Tameo on turn 2.
That seems way better for 60-card formats.
Way better for 60-card formats.
But that is a really cool thing that you can do just to get your flip Tameo and start to work her up.
Demi-Lich. That's another one I got for $1.45. They're over $10 now.
Oh, wow, really?
Got that one, yeah. I just got that. As soon as Faithless Looting got unbanned, I was like, let me go buy Demi-Lich just really quick, just in case. I missed Tameo, though, so I did miss on some other ones.
That's fair. I picked up a Tameo accidentally.
Yeah.
And now it's worth twice what I paid for it, so I might as well get it out there, yeah.
Any thoughts on other formats like Legacy or Vintage?
I'm glad that they got the attention that they did.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean nothing happened to Vintage, which is fine. And Legacy got the Jegantha ban. I'm actually kind of glad that
Pioneer got the Jegantha ban. Legacy got no Jegantha ban.
Legacy got no Jegantha ban.
Legacy only saw the Vexing Bobble and the Frog got banned.
Interesting. Okay.
I think. Double check me.
I am double checking. Yeah, Legacy only had those two.
Yeah.
I guess no one plays Jegantha because Force of Will is so
Force of Will is just too good,
Yeah.
and it's just too much mana for Legacy.
Yeah. I think this is great. Like, let's just keep pushing companions out of these formats.
I agree. Yeah, that was a stinker.
Yeah, I think that definitely is bad. But Psychic Frog and Vexing Bauble, I'm really excited to see get out of Legacy too. It's not going to make me want to play Legacy. Like, I'll proxy up a deck to play once every 6 months. I've never really been into Legacy, so I think I'm just going to keep that part of my Magic
That's
streak.
totally fair.
That it's just not a format for me.
I love Reanimator as a deck. 4 Entombs, 4 Reanimates. I love that deck. Recently, since the Frog, it has kind of evolved into like a tempo deck that has a 10-card Reanimator package, basically, which is really cool and good, but I'm kind of glad that Frog is gone so that maybe I can play real Reanimator again with several Gristlebrands and Faithless Looting and
You don't
bunch of
want to
reanimation
replace
spells.
Frog with like Delver of Secrets?
No, I've seen some lists that replace it with Orcish Bowmaster and just same deck, just the exact same
sounds
thing.
better than
Delver of Secrets.
Delver of Secrets. Yeah. What year is it?
Yeah, that's like 15 years ago you talking.
Yeah.
Although Delver, I have seen some Grixis lists in Legacy that are playing Delver, I think, and they're okay. But it's so funny how like there are so many other options of cards that are probably better than Delver of Secrets in a lot of situations now. Dragon's Rage Channeler, which we talked about a bunch. The new Tameo is questionably better. Ragavan, which is banned in Legacy. Orcish Bowmaster, probably. Who cares that it's 2 mana? And I'm saying, like, these cards are so strong because they're, like, more powerful than a common that was printed 15 years ago.
But that common was way better than everything else.
1 mana 3/2 flyer. It's unbeatable.
That was wild, yeah.
That's all. Those are my thoughts.
I didn't write down
formats.
anything else to talk about today.
We've been talking for 35 minutes.
Wow, that's like the exact amount of time I wanted to talk about today.
That's a holiday podcast.
That is. So we hope that you all enjoyed the holiday cast today. We'll be back at the beginning of 25 to talk about the predictions that we have for 2025. We'll go through all the sets that are to come out this year, what we think cEDH is going to be all about in the year 2025. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about mid-range hell. Maybe we'll talk about how Tivit's been performing a little bit better than we think that it's been performing.
Interesting.
Yeah, so maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. So who knows?
Who knows? Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to support us directly, you can do so on Patreon, like our $100 patrons.
Jude, Noel, Spengler, Demetrius, Clark, Larceny, Roy's, Your Boy, Blue, Sparky B, Insomnia, SC, Philip, Bolden, Groupie, Gecko21, Caleb Ritchie, Zach Hartley, Reactive, Sean on the Ice, Luke Cook, Demon of Rosgrees, Peter Stewart, Cornell Wild, Uncle Butts, Nick Foles Go to 9, Quadjay, Hamid, Lauren Connell, Scott Hawk, and Baby G-Bus.
If you want to pick up any of our merch, you can do that at playtowinmtg.com.
Thank you so much to Dragon Shield for supporting the show. Use code PlayToWin5 at our affiliate link for 5% off.
You can follow us on social media for more content.
Thank you so much for watching.
See you next time.
And for 50s, we got Roy Turner, Mystic Muffin Man, Jacob Bauer, Zachary Coulson, Jabaha, Mace the Ace, Dalton Poteet, Hobo Ghost, Justin, Man Solo, Jacob Depp, Jan Wildfang, Thomas Bueno, and David Nelson. Welcome to Play to Win, where you play to win. I'm Cam.
And I'm Dylan. This week we're
ranking the best Pixar movies. And
is that what we're doing? All right, can you box me one more time?
Yes, I can box you.
All right, ready?
Who are you, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul?
I'm Mike Tyson out of the two of us.
Mike Tyson hates 60-card formats.
That's certainly true.